All right, we have a big show today, a lot of important stories to get to and some funny ones. The View's Sunny Hostin melts down while talking about Kamala Harris certifying the election, certifying her loss yesterday, comparing J6 to some of the worst days in human history. If you thought Kamala Harris was bad when she compared J6 to 9/11, wait till you hear this. Sunny Hostin takes the cake. Also, the censorship dam is breaking officially. The Trump effect is real, people. Mark Zuckerberg coming out this morning, CEO of Meta, announcing he is firing all fact checkers from Facebook. No more fact checking. Instead, they're going to be duplicating or copying what Elon did over at X with community notes. This is huge. We're going to explain. And the push to buy Greenland is real. It's moving forward. Trump's team actively working on this. All the propaganda you hear in legacy media, don't believe it. I'm hearing this is happening, folks. At least that's the plan. We're going to break it down, but before we get started, thank you for liking and sharing these videos. It really helps out the channel, and consider subscribing so you don't miss these regular updates. So yesterday, Vice President Kamala Harris certified the U.S. election, certified her big loss in front of the Congress, in front of the world. All the talk from these unhinged Dems talking about not certifying the results for months, disqualifying Trump from taking office. Nancy Pelosi, who promised America that Trump would never step foot in the White House again, rolled her way into the chamber to watch history be made. Here is the moment we've been waiting for. Watch this.
The state of the vote for the President of the United States, as delivered to the President of the Senate, is as follows. The whole number of the electors appointed to vote for President of the United States is 538. Within that whole number, the majority is 270. The votes for President of the United States are as follows. Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida has received 312 votes. Kamala D. Harris Kamala D. Harris of the state of California has received 226 votes.
Meanwhile, not everyone was handling themselves that well. Over on The View, Sunny Hostin losing her freaking mind, having to watch Kamala Harris, a woman of color, certify a white man to be president. This is actually kind of funny, disturbing but funny, comparing J6, she did, Sunny Hostin, to one of the worst days in human history. If you thought Kamala Harris comparing J6 to 9/11 was bad, Sunny Hostin takes the freaking cake, saying anyone who wants to move on from J6 is wrong. No, we can't move on because it was one of the worst days in human history, in American history, she says, comparing it to child slavery. What? This bizarre rant went on for a minute straight before her co-host stepped on it. Watch this.
I think we need to find moral clarity, in this country. And I just remember after January 6th, you had someone like Mitch McConnell placing the blame on January 6th where it belonged, squarely on Donald Trump's shoulders. Mm-hmm. And then you started seeing people backtrack that and losing their moral center. You had Condoleezza Rice, I believe, on this very show saying, we need to move on from January 6th. Mm-hmm. I say no. You don't move on because January 6th was an atrocity. It was one of the worst moments in American history. And when you think about the worst moments in American history, like World War II, things that happened, like the Holocaust, chattel slavery, we need to never forget because past becomes prologue if you forget any race.
I want to ask you.
Yeah.
In another story, Mark Zuckerberg, CEO of Meta, came out this morning and announced that Meta, Facebook, and Instagram will be ditching fact-checking, firing all their fact-checkers and moving to community notes or a community notes type system, copying or duplicating what Elon did over at X saying we're going to get back to our roots and focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our policies, and restoring free expression on our platform. Boom. Going on to admit that there's been like a ton of pressure over the last few years on him, especially during the Biden administration, to police content, saying a lot of this, he says in this clip, we're going to play it for you, he says pure politics. That's what he believes this was. And he believes that Donald Trump winning the election was a cultural tipping point or turning point where Americans, he said, have decided to prioritize freedom of speech. You think Americans just started to prioritize free speech? We never stopped. A small group of people centered in the swamp of Washington, D.C. decided to use government power to quash it, to quash freedom of expression. You were the one or one of the people who allowed it to happen, Mark. Instead of standing up years ago, you kept quiet and went along with it. And you weren't alone. Almost all social media platforms did the same thing. All Fortune 500 companies fell in line. A lot of these people actually agreed with the censorship regime. And if it wasn't for Elon Musk buying X, none of this would have changed. Here was Mark this morning. Let me know if you think he's serious about this or if he has some alternative motive in mind. Roll the tape.
Hey everyone. I want to talk about something important today because it's time to get back to our roots around free expression on Facebook and Instagram. I started building social media to give people a voice. I gave a speech at Georgetown 5 years ago about the importance of protecting free expression, and I still believe this today. But a lot has happened over the last several years. There's been widespread debate about potential harms from online content. Governments and legacy media have pushed to censor more and more. A lot of this is clearly political, but there's also a lot of legitimately bad stuff out there. Drugs, exploitation. These are things that we take very seriously, and I want to make sure that we handle responsibly. So we built a lot of complex systems to moderate content. But the problem with complex systems is they make mistakes. Even if they accidentally censor just 1% of posts, that's millions of people. And we've reached a point where it's just too many mistakes and too much censorship. The recent elections also feel like a cultural tipping point towards once again prioritizing speech. So we're going to get back to our roots and focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our policies, and restoring free expression on our platforms. More specifically, here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to get rid of fact checkers and replace them with community notes similar to X, starting in the US.
In another story, Trump's policy team is actively working on ways to acquire Greenland from Denmark. If you turn on legacy media, you're going to hear them criticizing this, rolling their eyes at it, saying this will never happen. And it's true, by the way, that the Biden administration is actively working on thwarting Trump from successfully completing this deal. But from what I understand, Trump's deadly serious about this. The whole Canada takeover may be more tongue-in-cheek, I don't know, but Greenland has become a key part of the Trump administration's foreign policy and national security strategy. And there's a big reason to do this, by the way. The island is massive, a huge, huge body of land, and it's resource rich. They recently found rare earth minerals on Greenland, something that currently 95% of all rare earth minerals come from where? They come from China. Now that these rare earth minerals have been found on Greenland, what do you think is going to happen? Someone's going to take it. If it's not us, it's going to be China, it's going to be Russia. Greenland can't defend themselves, not alone. They have a population of less than 60,000 people, and it's currently owned by Denmark, a monarchy. The King of Denmark doesn't want to give up his control over Greenland. Yesterday, Trump posted this video on Truth Social. Check this out. A Greenland Islander saying, yes, we want Donald Trump to buy us, buy Greenland. Roll the tape.
So, if you could tell Trump anything, what would it be?
Buy us.
Buy Greenland?
Buy Greenland.
Why do you want Trump to buy Greenland?
Because we don't want to be colonized by Danish government anymore. We get ripped every year about our minerals from Greenland. We are the richest nation in the world, and we don't get to use it. Denmark's using us too much.
Do you like America?
I love America, but people are too fat over there.
Fox News reporting yesterday that Trump escalates plans to acquire Greenland after resident pleads Denmark's using us, he says, talking about the video that we just played, writing this: President-elect Trump ramped up his calls for the U.S. to take ownership of Greenland. In an amusing social media post on Monday, the move comes as the president's son, Trump Jr., is preparing to travel to Greenland on Tuesday. The trip will be undertaken in a personal capacity. He's not expected to meet with government officials. So Trump Jr. is planning to visit Greenland to do like a live stream there and to speak to some of the residents after his dad said that he was hearing that the people of Greenland are MAGA. Fox says that purportedly shows a Greenlander asking the U.S. to buy his country. We just played that, saying if you could tell Trump anything, what would it be? A woman is heard asking the man in the video, buy us, buy Greenland. The man, who's wearing a MAGA hat, replied. The Greenlander then added that he loved Americans and wanted to be free of the Danish government. We don't want to be colonized by Danish anymore, by the Danish government anymore. We get ripped off every year with our minerals from Greenland. We are the richest nation in the world, and we don't get to use it. Denmark's using us too much, he said. We will protect it and cherish it from a very vicious outside world. Make Greenland great again. And as much as the king of Denmark, claims he doesn't want to lose control of this massive island, he can't afford to keep it. Denmark apparently losing almost $700 million a year carrying it on their books, carrying it at a loss on their books, according to Trump. Let me know in the comments if you think the United States should buy Greenland. One thing this would do, by the way, is make Canada virtually surrounded by the United States on three sides: Greenland to the east, Alaska to the west, and of course the lower 48 to the south. And speaking about Canada, this brings us to our next story. Huge news out of our neighbor to the north yesterday. Justin Castro Trudeau resigning as prime minister, announcing he is quitting after his popular support has vanished, completely vanished in recent months. Here's Justin Trudeau announcing his resignation live on air yesterday. Roll the tape.
Over the holidays, I've also had a chance to reflect and have had long talks with my family about our future. Throughout the course of my career, any success I have personally achieved has been because of their support and with their encouragement. So last night over dinner, I told my kids about the decision that I'm sharing with you today. I intend to resign as party leader, as prime minister, after the party selects its next leader through a robust, nationwide, competitive process.
And this is just desserts, because after Trump won the election 2 months ago and started to pick on Trudeau, that's when his support really tanked. He was already unpopular, but the reason we saw him resign yesterday is 100% because of Donald Trump. If Trump hadn't won the election, I highly doubt that we would have saw Trudeau resign yesterday, be in the position that he's currently in. Because let's never forget how this man treated our president in 2017, making fun of Donald Trump, mocking him behind his back, laughing at him with other world leaders. Remember this?
Now, in a huddle alongside Princess Anne and Boris Johnson, Justin Trudeau and Emmanuel Macron were caught discussing a 40-minute press conference. President Trump was not mentioned by name, but he had held a lengthy press conference with Mr. Macron earlier that day. The leaders are in London for NATO meetings.
Prime Minister Trudeau talking about you last night?
Well, he's two-faced.
Do you think that Germany is too naive?
And honestly, with Trudeau, he's a nice guy. I find him to be a very nice guy. But, you know, the truth is that I called him out on the fact that he's not paying 2%. And I guess he's not very happy about it. I mean, you were there, a couple of you were there, and he's not paying 2%, and he should be paying 2%. It's Canada, they have money, and they should be paying 2%. So I called him out on that, and I'm sure he wasn't happy about it, but that's the way it is. Look, I'm representing the U.S.